Well, good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, office hours time for Masterclass. Thank you, everyone, for coming on Saturday. I know I had a few of you join me for the live hired Masterclass. It was a 3-hour event. Rarely do I sit down for 3 hours for anything. Like, I don't know. Yes, yes, I hope you were there, Anu. Yes, it was just, it was wonderful. It was nice to just walk folks through hired, honing, intercepting, reflecting, embodying, and we still didn't even get to the dollars, but I feel like people get it. Like once you get the job offer, great. You know, I love talking about money, but I also feel like that's the cherry on top of everything because just to get to the point of even a job offer is so painful. Um, all of that to say, thank you for coming. You all should have received the recording this morning. I sent it out just alongside with some reminders, but there is a link with the 3-hour recording. I love the new way that I figured out how Zoom could record, and hopefully you like it too. But when you open the link, you should be able to like fast forward and even see summaries and highlights. And, it's not like downloading a video and you just watch a video. It's actually walks you through it and you can kind of, anyways, I like the style of the recording, and I'm trying to use Zoom as much as I can to kind of make things easier for us. So all that to say, hope you enjoyed if you did join, and if you did not, go ahead and watch the recording. It's in your inbox. I will add it also into the masterclass as like a link kind of embedded in the welcome message. That might be a nice way for folks to know that we do meet on occasion for this 3-hour event. But yeah, all of that to say, I am really just available here today for all of you to help you get hired, keep you going, keep you, just keeping you motivated. I did also pump out job alerts yesterday. That was one of the reminders in the email. I didn't want to wait till today to do that with all of you. We can still job search. I'm not against it. That's fine. I just know that some of you would appreciate that top of the week as well. So I tried to do that with Angelica. Thank you. She's on right now. She's our intern. So she and I just kind of wrapped them up for all of you. But all that to say that things are still a little off. The searches are still difficult. I have found some bright spots in the sense of I see some really cool jobs still. I may not necessarily share those with all of you because those are for some of my mentees, for people that I work with closely. And I promise them if I share them, if we're talking about a job, I try not to share it with the community because they're my clients, my mentees. So I respect the grind that we're in. So all of this to say that I have been finding some bright spots on jobs for them to apply to. And I do have a couple mentees who are actively in the interview process. One is in round 3, and the other one is in round 2 today. She's interviewing today. It's Tuesday. We've been talking about her interview prep for a week now. So people are getting interviews, right? It's not that no one's getting hired. It's not that no one, in fact, I'm still having to catch up on everyone's stories who have been telling me that they're getting jobs. So I'm going to get to that really soon now that a lot of things have sort of settled, but I'm just letting you all know that there is traction. So, keep your head up. I just think we're still in this where are the jobs craziness of it all. So office hours is very open-ended. It's a conversation. If I share my screen, it's usually for job searching or looking some stuff up with all of you, but this is very open-ended. So you can raise your hand, you can unmute yourself. Everyone here is actively job searching, some of you longer than others, or some of you have just been a part of the community longer than others. But, if you're new here, go ahead and use the chat, introduce yourself, or if you're returning, you're welcome to also use the chat and just introduce yourself again. I try to keep this very informal and very come as you are. You guys don't have to be on video, obviously. I'm on video, I'm hosting, happy to be on video, but no requirement for you to also be on video. And I know some of you just want to come and learn and listen, so that's fine too, no judging. All right. I see Angelica's introducing herself. Wonderful. Yes, and you can use your LinkedIn profile to also just let people know, hey, this is who I am, would love to connect. All right, opening it up for questions. Questions, questions, questions.
Sure, I have one, Zoila.
Hi, Macon.
Hi. Um, so I was looking, well, there's a job where I currently am as a pharmacy technician that would be like a specialty position. So it's not public health necessarily. But when I write my summary on my resume, should I lead with my education? Like I don't I'm or do I just want to focus on the like required, preferred, that kind of
What role is this, if
criteria?
I may ask?
It is like a specialty pharmacy technician.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the track of pharmacy. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, you don't need you could just leave it as summary and then your education is the second portion,
Okay.
right? So I don't know where you're
Yeah.
putting education right now.
Yeah, like I'm writing in my summary, like I'm leading with like master's, educated, whatever.
No, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I recommend you don't do that, Megan.
Okay.
As long as you list your education,
Don't need
right,
to do
on the
that.
first, you don't have to reiterate that. No, but
Okay.
that is something you reiterate in your cover letter.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. In like the first paragraph, my qualifications include my degree and experience in X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 Good
Yeah,
question.
thanks.
Kimberly, you have a question?
Yes, I do. So,
Hi.
hello, good morning. So I've gotten past the screening and I have an interview today with the program director and the hiring manager.
Good. Nice. Nice work. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yay.
And I did do like the brain dump and I took a look at my strengths and anticipated some questions. But I also know based on the screening, it was quite informal, which kind of threw me off of my game and having those polished answers. But I guess it was good enough to get me to the second round. And so I'm aware of like the certain terms that I can focus on and just kind of tying it back. But I'm also interested in what type of questions should I be asking the hiring manager? This would be the person like I'm reporting to. So
Wonderful. Yes. Wonderful. Oh my gosh. Love it. So just to clarify, you did practice Total Recall interview prep.
yes.
You, and when you say informal, I think of them as general questions. So tell me, like, what were the kind of questions they threw at you?
Yeah, so it was about like tell us why you chose this foundation, why are you leaving your position, which I didn't really, I guess, practice that part. But some of like I noticed like coordination and project management, I had already done some writing and had questions that were prepared for that, but none of the questions they asked me. It was a lot about like, this is where we're heading in this organization. Does that deter you? It was a lot of those questions of like, they're trying to be transparent and tell me about this role, but a lot of it was about like, are you okay with this? It wasn't about
They were doing gut checks with you.
yes, exactly. So it wasn't really.
Okay, okay. So you passed it, but more I want to just call out that nothing is quote unquote informal, nothing is off the shoulder. Everything is for purpose. They're sharing something they're testing your maturity, and even if they're general, they're looking to see if you're going to respond using their language. Right?
Okay.
Like, are you aware of what you're talking about, why you're here? So they could even ask the question of like, what, tell us about yourself, should in itself still highlight some of your qualifications, right, that they desire,
Correct.
right? So as general as some people think they are, they're not. They're like, you need to be in the space of the job. Now, with that said, the way that I deduce the second round of questions has to do with whether they're asking you detailed, general, or maturity based. It sounds like, did they ask you any detail specific ones? Like, tell us your experience in project management, tell us your experience in stakeholder engagement, anything like that?
Not really.
Okay.
Some of the stuff that I was when it was like, tell me about yourself. So they would circle back to something. She had circled back. Okay, I want to hear a little bit more about this, but it wasn't direct, like related.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. Those are good signs, right? So I do mention in the new masterclass that the three signs that it went well is that there is a sense of a conversation and they do circle back or they want to follow up or there's that kind of back and forth. So that's good. But I
Okay.
want to brace you to be prepared for those detailed questions, especially because you're going to now meet the project director that you would directly report to, right? And
Mhm.
so they're going to be highly interested in your skill set.
Okay.
So it wouldn't surprise me if they threw you off with the first one because it's so like, oh, this is, but the second one is like, tell me about the work. Like, tell me time you did this, tell me time you did that. What would you do if this happened? What would you do? So I don't want you to just, my, what I'm trying to tell you is like, don't assume the project director is going to be just as nonchalant
Okay.
as the screener because the screener did their job, they passed them on, but now the project director has you in their hands and they're going to be like, tell us a time that you've coordinated an initiative in communities, tell us a time that you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
so don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
And then secondly, or lastly, going to your question, which is what do I ask them? It should
Hmm.
be about the work first and foremost. So if I had the job in front of me, I would want it. So basically they want to hear a question from the person that's going to start tomorrow.
Okay.
Think of it that way. So the ideal candidate would have studied the job, knows the job, and there's something that's like missing. For example, a lot of these jobs, you guys will read them and they talk about being in community and community. And it's like, well, what community?
Hmm.
What cities, what areas, what population? Is there a target population? Is there a target region that you
Hmm.
guys are trying to reach? So um, that's the kind of question you want to come with. It has to be about the work and
Okay.
you wanting to just simply know, can you inform me more about the status of this initiative? It was mentioned in the job announcement. Is it, has it started? Is it being piloted? Is it a reiteration of a previous program? Do you know what I mean? So there
Yeah.
has to be some sense making that you want to do with them as your first question. And then the second good question is always tell me how what do you like most about your job and how
Mhm.
has the company supported you in your professional growth?
Okay. I like that one. Okay.
Because that is about them and people love to talk about themselves. People love to see that, but it's also you getting an indirect response around the culture and how they treat one another
Mhm.
in the company. Or if your boss is new, they're like, oh, I just got here last month. Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Mhm.
Stuff like that. So first question, always about the work. Second question could be about their growth as well.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you. That's
yeah,
great.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. And good luck today. Hope it goes well.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. You go. You had a question.
Yeah, hello. Um,
Hi.
so yeah, like talking about like the difficulty of finding jobs to apply to, like I really experienced that last week. I couldn't find anything I really wanted to apply to, but I put in applications for like part-time and contract opportunities. And I'm starting to, it's been like 3.5 months since I got laid off, and I'm starting to wonder if I should broaden my standards and start applying more to like part-time and contract roles and to buy myself time to find more suitable like long-term roles. And I'm wondering
Yeah.
what's going on with your mentees and if you have seen that as a trend.
Yes, you go. Yes, yes. I love the question. Appreciate the question. I will say I've seen people, everyone is doing what they need to do. In fact, I just got a text this morning. I have to respond to her, but it's a mentee of mine who took some time off from the mentorship because her current job was in such torm. She was just really, it was a toxic work environment and she and I couldn't even work. The mental capacity wasn't there for her to even talk at the end of the day with me because she was just so frustrated with work. She told me that she's going to pivot to find something part-time. And she's like, when I do that, I think I can then work again with you. So she actually just texted me, hey, I'm feeling better. I found something part-time. I feel decompressed. I think we can talk now. So
Mhm.
yeah, like this is not out of the ordinary, you go. Like, and even others who are trying to just job search solely realize this isn't working, and then they go back to something like just temporarily, or like do babysitting or do something that they just were like, I didn't think I would have to do this anymore. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but there's no guarantee again on how long it takes to get these jobs. So love part-time work, lots going on. I've actually wanted to post. I feel like I'm not doing enough of the posting of the part-time, but I'm sensing that maybe I should do that. Angelica, take note, if you're listening, that we need to just maybe not pass up the full-time, the part-time stuff that I might be seeing, and post it up there more. But there's options, Yuko. I think you being in it for mind you, it takes 4 to 8 months. So you're like really in that early window still for the most part. That doesn't mean nothing will happen in the next 2 months, but I also don't want to, it's hard to say at the same time. So, and the
Right.
desperation gets worse, right? The desperation. Okay, good. Angelica, you heard me. I think part of it is you don't want to come off as desperately seeking a job. And right now I have a mentee who is in her third round, and part of my coaching with her was calming the desperation. Like it takes so much effort for us to get to the table that we're just like, just give us the job, just give us the job. And and I could hear it in her frustration with responding to just me, that we've worked on how do I check myself in this, like in this mindset that like I'm just so frustrated, right? And I don't know if someone dropped off, or did you go drop off? Oh no, you didn't drop off, someone dropped off. Anyways, my point being, it does help to have some money flowing in, even if it is part-time, because that does calm that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, like I don't have like it's not a live or die situation. My husband has a job. It's okay for now, but it's just professionally hard for my soul to be out of work. And I did a contract work like just for a week and I brought some money home and it felt really good to be able to use my skill for my family. And I think, yeah, it's hard for me to think about being out of work for like
Yeah.
3 more months or 4 more months and just, um, yeah.
No, I hear you. It's very defeating. It's very defeating. You're right. Regardless of the financial position you're in, it is more of like, I want to feel productive. I want to feel like I'm, like I have somewhere to go and I have responsibilities and I'm contributing to something outside of my home. So yeah, even if it's part-time for now until you find something that really you want full-time, for sure. So take the time you need. Everyone on here, should take the time they need. There is no right or wrong. And even sometimes I've done stuff, you know, that not that I'm not necessarily proud of, but like I just don't need other people to know about. I'm just like, hey, I'm driving Lyft. I don't really need people to know about that. Like, I'm just going to keep that to myself. Like, do what you got to do. Maybe there's something you're doing you're not completely proud of, but keeps you busy. And there's no shame in finding, work or something to do for the community. I know, like you said, that's not completely your situation. It's not so much for the financial aspect, but yeah, like even just to get out, that's totally reasonable. I tell people staying active is the goal. Stay active. Stay active. Like stay active in community, like volunteer, right? You go like something that's keeping you busy that you have to look forward to, even if it's a temporary volunteer position. Like, oh, they don't need someone very long. They just need something real quick done for a couple months. Okay, fine. Whatever you can find. That's part of my coaching with my mentees, is when I notice they're just searching and they're not doing anything. Like I have a mentee who lives with her family and she's a recent graduate and she's actually also a pharmacy technician. And yeah, I've been encouraging her to to get out, to find something to do, to volunteer, because I mean, she's tech and, you know, she's working too, like as a pharmacy tech, but I also think that, you know, if that's not enough, like stay active, like whatever it is, just stay active. If your parents are driving you crazy, go find something to do and that you take a class, like, you know, stay active. Yeah. Great
Yeah,
question, Yuko.
thank you.
Uh-huh. Cynthia, you have a question.
Hi, Zoila.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Super happy to be here. Thank
Super
you
happy to have you.
for office
Yes.
hours.
Of
I've
course.
I sat in on, and I can't recall right now, but it was a conference earlier this year, and I was just really impressed with everything that you presented. So just
Oh,
happy
thank
that
you.
yeah, I'll be like working with you. But you know, you touched on a few things that deeply resonated, you know, like not being in the right mental space. I have found myself in that situation. Um, Sadly, it was on a day that I had an interview, and I, as much as you try, it is a bit impactful, you know. And then too, like the volunteer scope, that's actually something that I think aligns with my question. So I've been working on and off with a recruiter, and you touched on this on Saturday. I just wanted to kind of gauge your experience with maybe yourself or with other mentees with recruiters, only because at times I felt that um, you know, they strongly encouraged me not to apply to a couple of institutions they work closely with, so I didn't, thinking that it was going to open opportunities with through this recruiter. But then there's also a sense of unprofessionalism. I had a round two interview last week. She was adamant that they were going to have a response that same day. It's now been 4 days. I called her. Um, she didn't have any updates. I haven't heard from her. I think I should probably move forward with this job search application. Yeah, and so I just wanted to gauge your thoughts.
Oh my God, Cynthia. I'm so sorry. Uh, I mean, you kind of heard what I said about recruiters. Um, I struggle with this. Okay, so I'm sorry that you feel like you're kind of being met with unprofessionalism. That is one of the things I have also encountered with some recruiters. And when you say you're working with a recruiter, I just want to make sure I understand what you mean by that. So like, is this from the company? Like this is a recruiter of the company, or this is like a temp agency recruiter? Like, what do you mean by recruiter? Because there's a couple different.
Yeah, and I'm not, it's Aerotech, and they contract with a few academic institutions here in Chicago. So basically they are,
Okay, so they're like a third party recruiting
yes.
agency. Okay. Okay. So there is a difference. So I'm even glad I asked you, because there are recruiters that really are about the company, and they're hired by the company, and they recruit across all of their like departments, right? IT and sales and marketing and healthcare and public, you know, so that then there's recruiters who are like maybe your recruiter, who specialize in something to serve a niche. Um, right. And the only recruiters that I find have been helpful, I can count on one hand, and they tend to come from like maybe the temp agencies who focus on healthcare, public administration, public sector work, because they know our world and they know like the administration of it for the most part. But they're the temp agencies that I can think of that are worth kind of entertaining, so to speak. The recruiters that I'm wary about are, I guess, the mostly the ones that represent the company, because they tend to ghost you or waste your time. Or there have been recruiters that are helpful, but it's so hard to find the one that's going to help you. And I think we as people looking for work are so excited to talk to anyone that wants to talk to us, that confusion just kind of ensues around like your availability. And by the way, there is a lot of conversations with recruiters that they prefer to actually take people from companies, not hire unemployed individuals. So recruiters want to like cherry pick and take from other companies more so than they want to find someone who's been unemployed and put them in the, why? Because that shows, right, that gives them an edge as a recruiter to show that they're doing their best to find the best talent, right, to quote unquote steal from another company. So that's, I've been talking more recruiters, guys, basically, if you can't tell. Just I'm like, I want to know your guys' world. Like, how do you guys, what's the mindset that you guys carry? And so I'm just letting you know that there's a lot of these factors that, recruiters are for the company, they're not for you. So I don't like them just generally, more so because I've never felt like, I've only one recruiter I felt has had my back, and that was the recruiter from Kaiser. But that's also because she grilled me like a sergeant. She grilled me in my screening questions, 5 questions that I'll never forget. But I feel like at the end of the day, she was like, oh my God, they're looking for you. I really feel like you're going to move forward. I'm going to make sure that they do call you back. This is great. Thank you for talking. Right. So she was very much about finding the right fit for Kaiser Permanente, and I want to be at Kaiser Permanente, so I will do what it takes. So it was a match, right? It's like, yes. But other recruiters where they're just like feeling you out, and and then sometimes I've seen where they'll call you for a position you applied to try to put you in another position, and then they like leave you hanging for both positions, and you're just like, what the hell? Like they're there for the company. So I don't want you, the other concern I'm having, Cynthia, that I'm hearing is that you're waiting too much. You're not applying. Is that what I heard?
Yes. I've been
When
trying to work on getting to the right mental space. And maybe that's this like,
I think the recruiter's confusing you. I think they're confusing you. And the right mental space sometimes is getting rid of the noise. And I think we welcome the noise because we think that's good. Like, oh yes, like, let me talk to this person. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just helping you sort of be aware of what's happening, right? And here's another thing to all of this. All of you who are talking to recruiters on LinkedIn, the only person you're helping is LinkedIn. LinkedIn wants to see the engagement, wants to see the chats going off, wants to know that recruiters are getting engaged and that you're getting engaged and that we're such a great resource. Stay on here, right? You guys forget that even LinkedIn is an app. It's a social media device. It gives you all these features that you don't really need, right? But they want to keep you on there. They want to keep the app open. They want you to keep coming back. It helps LinkedIn more than it helps you or the recruiter. So I also want you to be aware of those kinds of situations. And I always say, just treat each application as just another thing. You talk to someone, okay, great, moving on to the next application. I think sometimes we also get our hopes up, right? Even in interviews, you'll hear this in interviews, Cynthia, where God, they may be like, this is great, thank you. Everyone's smiling, everyone's friendly, everything seems good, and you still don't get the job. Right? So it's not so much the friendliness of it all, Cynthia. And I think that starts to tear away at us, where we think people are being kind and friendly, and it's like, nothing's happening. So I don't know if you've found yourself in that too.
and everything you said just diamonds because in waiting, I'm not applying. And then when I did have a couple of interviews, that spirit of desperation, I'm pretty sure was communicated. And it's like I'm almost digging my own hole. And I
Yeah.
think that if I would have consistently applied, there would have been maybe confidence, maybe there would have been other opportunities that would have opened up. And I think I'm definitely going to follow your cue on, I've been kind of pondering this, but getting a temporary job, because that will kind of, I think, just help the situation and maybe remove some of that desperation.
Yeah, just calm the nerves in the back. Just like the job search is hard in itself, right? And with all this said, Cynthia, your concern of the mental capacity, there's no right way to do this. I feel like I'm comfortable walking you guys through this because I've tried it all. Girl, I've quit jobs. I've done the part-time, I've done the volunteering. I was so heartbroken. I think some of you know this story, but I'll say it again. I was so taken back, still scarred to this day, because CASA, court appointed special advocates from Los Angeles, broke my heart, still breaks my heart. I wanted to be their program director here in Los Angeles. They put me through 4 rounds of interviews. I flew from Sacramento to LA, spent my own money to try to interview for them, even called in sick on a Monday, just trying to get in the door. When they didn't give me the job, of course I was heartbroken, but that was when I decided to quit my job at the state capitol. And I decided, you know what? I still want to be in LA, even if CASA doesn't want me. But guess what I did? I was so torn from what had happened that I was not given that job, that I went to meet the person that got the job and I asked to volunteer for them, because I was like, all right, Lord, if you're telling me that this is not for me and that I still need to learn something, maybe I need to learn something from the person that got the job that I could have sworn was for me. And so I went to her and I said, hey, I wanted this job. Congratulations, but I'm still looking for work. And in the meantime, could I volunteer for you? Because I love this organization. Clearly, I wanted this role. And is there anything I can do to make sure that you're successful? So painful.
Zoila, this is Cynthia, the other Cynthia. I love that story.
So painful.
It's an honest story, and thank you.
Guys, there's no, like, my soul is still making amends with that, you know? And just like, how do you do this? Do I quit? Do I keep my job? Do I do the full time? Do I do like, do I not, do I just like go public health altogether? Do I just go get another degree? There's no right way. And I do have mentees who are doing the full-time job and doing this full-time job search. And it's just as hard as the person who is unemployed and doing the job search.
Can you
They're
repeat that?
both struggling. It's just as hard to do this job search when you are fully employed versus the person who is unemployed doing the job search. It's equally hard. They're both struggling across the board, is what I'm saying, is whether you want to do part-time, whether you want to do full-time, whether you want to do this unemployed and do the job search, it is painful. And so the mental space you all are wanting, like, oh, where's that clarity? That just sort of, it doesn't happen. Like, there's no just like window of like, oh, wow. Like, I will say that my mentee who has her 3rd interview right now, she's I love it that she's catching herself, because she was also like in the 2nd round and she's like, wait, when did I apply last? I need to apply to a job, because these people are going to like bring me through it and give me the 3rd, 4th round, and then they're not going to give me the job, and I got to be prepared for that. And I'm like, exactly. So let me tell you something. She applied to something before her next round. She's going to apply to another job before, I think her interview is coming up on Friday. So she's going to do another application this week as well, because she's like, I'm not going to give in to this whole, you're my only option, because she feels like the desperation is going to bleed on Friday. She's like, if they feel like they're my only option, right? And I agree with her. I'm like, yeah, you can't come in with that energy. And the best way to do that is to entertain other conversations, put yourself out there, keep applying, just keep it, keep it cool. But yeah, I know a lot of us are struggling to find that mental space. And it's not always the obvious way to do it, because, some people need just emotional mental space in different ways, just feeling the pent up of stuff and life and frustration. And shit, guys, I've moved cities to try to fix my career. I've abandoned everything. I'm like, oh, it's not working here. Let's try LA. All right, start from scratch. Let's go. All right. And I had to. I moved to my friend's couch, and looked for a part-time job, got a part-time job at Rand Corporation, helping with opioid addiction research at Venice Family Clinic. And from there, I slowly crawled my way back to a full-time job, and I had to settle for something that was $50,000 back at a company that I swore I would never be back at. And I did it. And I just, it's like it wasn't perfect, but it was enough. I preferred that. I preferred taking a pay cut, living off a friend's couch, going to a different city, than continuing at where I was, like just feeling like there was nothing there for me. I loved my job. I tell people it wasn't the job, it was just the environment wasn't for me anymore. My social life, my family life, I was like going to quickly become an alcoholic, basically. I was like, there's no life here for me. Like, this isn't it. And, LA has proven to me to be my home, time and time again. And I have a family now, and I found the love of my life and found my dream job at Kaiser. And now I fucking started Public Health Hired. Like, hello, my heart was like, go girl, run as fast as you can to LA. It doesn't matter what's there, it's there, whatever it is. It was just calling me back. And so people will, back then people will be like, you're crazy for leaving this full-time job. It's so hard to find work. It's so hard to find work. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm not happy. And so, you guys can look for validation, seek for, at the end of the day, it's what makes you happy. It's what you need. Sometimes we don't even know what we need, but I know it ain't this. I know it ain't this. And if that's you, you need to listen to that. You're like, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I know it's not this. That's enough information. So anyways, yeah, this is the mental space there. It's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah, I'm here for you guys. There's a reason why I'm happy to just host this weekly, open-ended. I have no agenda because like this isn't about me, right? This is about you guys and your journey. And I have no judgment if, you take a break from it all and you can't look at the jobs anymore for a while. And you just, there's sleepless nights, I get it. There's nights you can't sleep. But it'll always be your choice. Like it's still your choice to kind of ask yourself these critical questions. And there's always opportunity to grow. There's always opportunity to learn. But I think sometimes we're afraid, we just assume what we're doing is enough. I think that's a lot of what I coach you guys out of is like, why are you doing that? Oh, well, because that's that's just what I've seen others do. And okay, well, that's not going to get you a job. So some of it is bad habits. Some of it is we just assume that's what other people are doing. So yeah, do what works for you guys. Do what works for you. Listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. Listen to hear. I know. Feels very demoralizing. The rejections, the you're not good enough, the try next time. Oh my gosh, the one time, you guys are gonna laugh, but it was actually nice. I'll let you guys decide how to feel about this. I was working with a mentee in New York. This was maybe like 2 years ago now, and I've never seen anyone send this to me. It was just this one time. And she was getting rejections, right? She was getting rejections emails. Okay. And she was a babysitter trying to come back into public health, public administration. And she now is a supervisor at the state of Maine. So she works in government now. Good for her. But one of the responses she got, she forwarded it to me and it said something like, it was a rejection email and it said something like, thank you for your interest. Please keep applying. Here's our career site. And then at the bottom, it said, if you need to talk to someone for your mental health and the job and the employment is, not going anywhere, please reach out to this hotline. It felt like I'm like, that's good. Like, that's good, right? Like, it's very considerate. But the fact that they were themselves aware of how bad it is that people are depressed from getting so many rejections, they threw out a number for you to call. I have to laugh. I have to laugh. We have to laugh. We have to laugh. It was like a hotline, not their company. It was like, like a state supported, it was like a 211 situation where you could just call to get more resource. But it was just the actual like call out that like, hey, if you're feeling down.
So I actually have a question about this.
Yes, you go.
I got many rejections and I followed up with some of them, like to ask why I was rejected, especially for the roles where I moved through the hiring process.
Yeah.
But I was met with silence for all of them.
Mm.
It's just like, well, if you're gonna reject me after some cycles, like I at least want to have some feedback, but like rather than getting the mental health hotline,
You're just getting ghosted.
Yeah, is that like too much to ask for? Is that usually not something that would happen?
Yeah, it rarely happens. I mean, you can ask for feedback, and I think when folks respond with you wanting feedback, it's very vague, and they try, like now they're jumping into legal issues if they say anything, like if they put their foot in their mouth, it'll come back to the company that they may have discriminated or that they actually, you know what I mean? Like there's this whole thing that they're trying to avoid with them responding and giving you to why you were not chosen. But it doesn't hurt. I think it just also don't expect much, if they've already moved on, and if, and then sometimes I do see that the supervisor will try to keep them in mind. People are trying to be kind, but at the end of the day, they also just got to move on. I just haven't seen that really give you the honest truth.
Yeah,
I
especially
mean, what are they going to say?
right. I did a whole analysis of all the jobs that I applied for and got rejections for and see like what the common patterns were.
And
So
did you see anything?
yeah, I think what I was asking you last week of like applying to jobs that are SQL heavy, that
Ah,
was the patterns that I saw. Um, and in other ones, when I compared the summary that I wrote and then job description with a fresh eye, I was like, oh, I wasn't strong enough to describe the connection.
yeah.
So there are some good that came from that, but I
Oh,
feel
good. Oh, good. You did a little audit for yourself. That's good. No, I talked to a mentee who got a couple rejections, and I asked her, now from all the rejections you've been getting, are they leaning in a certain industry? And she's like, yeah, they're all healthcare. I'm like, okay, so we stop. We stopped applying to healthcare. And it was so hard because when we were searching, a lot of healthcare, like a lot, and she and I would be like, no. Like she and I both would be like, no, like stop applying to healthcare. We have to fight. So we found her a foundation. In fact, I'm gonna finish up her resume today or tomorrow. But my point is, like, she's gonna apply to a nonprofit, right? Not the healthcare. So I just want you guys to be honest with yourself. Yeah. Now it doesn't mean that healthcare may not, it's not that it won't happen for her, but I'm just saying the doors we're trying to get into with healthcare aren't unlocking for her, right? So let's try to unlock other ones in this other, like, nonprofit space or university space or just any other type of employer. It seems like because she doesn't have that healthcare background necessarily, like she's never been in a clinic or in front of patients, we're going to kind of backtrack a little bit and try to, she has more of like a customer service background. And so we're going to then pivot to more and honestly, nonprofits have always been a great entry point if all of you are still frustrated with like, I'm still pivoting out of a certain sector and trying to go into nonprofits are still so wonderful. They just seem to be more welcoming, more forgiving. Yes, they have their bad sides. They have their negatives, like fundraising might be involved, right? Like, oh, you have to like work with the development team and you have to do the walk on Saturdays. I mean, when I was at the American Lung Association, I was part of their mission team, like services team, but I still was doing announcements for our fundraisers. You know, it is what it is. So yeah, I think that's just more of what you have to be mindful of is the environment is just, it has its, nuances. Yes, Cynthia.
Let's see if I can frame this well, but is it possible to time yourself out of clinical research jobs? I have over 15 years of experience working in adult pediatric sectors, including at the NIH. I'm still in good standing with like my prior PIs, but in me trying to get a job in that sector, now that none of that has mattered.
In the private sector. What do you mean by private sector?
Sorry, so I'm in school now, but no private sector. Maybe it wasn't very clear, but I've been like I've been applying for clinical research positions again.
You should be fine. I don't think. Are you feeling that like you're just out of touch with stuff? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe it's age.
Mm.
I I don't.
No, so I think I see it cited more as clinical trials. I don't know if that clinical trials, clinical research, yes, there's a difference, but I do see a lot of trials. I think at the end of the day, what I notice with these jobs is that they just want you to really be good at like IRB or some sort of like really rigorous project management skills because because of the fast-paced environment and the intersection with patients, they want to make sure you're comfortable in that fast pace and yet sensitive space at the same time. So if you can demonstrate that you can work in that sort of fast pace and keep up with documentation and make sure meetings are happening. And, I actually, the person who I just mentioned that was, who was in a toxic work environment and had to pivot to something part-time just so that she could work with me. She comes from that clinical trials space where she was like, I can't do this clinical trials anymore. So, but she was a part of a lot of, she doesn't have a PMP, but they do require high level project management. And she helps with like making sure the sites, she like audits the sites and make sure the sites for clinical trials is ready for trials. And she deals with all the paperwork before they pilot and they go live. So she helps with a lot of that. So I think it comes down to you kind of also knowing where you fit in the spectrum of clinical research, right? Is it that sort of implementation planning phase? Is it the actual service, like maintenance of it? Or is it the reporting evaluation aspect of it? Or is it all of it, right? Because you can find roles that really break it up for you, that you don't have to feel like, oh, you have to know all of it. So, and Cynthia, it sounds like, have we met on our one-on-one yet? Oh,
I'm saving that.
you're saving. Okay. I'm like, oh, I feel like we should talk, girl. You can also, I also have a calendar availability now. So you guys have options if you want to like snag another one. You can meet with me in June and July. But no, I think it could just still be your understanding of the job market. I don't think you should feel like that's nothing is too old. Nothing is too old. I'm saddened by individuals and colleagues that, who have just been in the workforce longer. And for some reason, they're hearing from other people that, like, I have a mentee right now who felt she had to drop her degree from like 15 years ago or something, or 20 years ago, because she's like, it just shows I'm old. It shows I'm old. I'm like, what's with this? No, there's no, it's not about being young. It's not about, and mind you, you also don't want to flag yourself as like immature and not ready. Like you want to, it has to do with the context. It has to do with where you get your training and where you get your background. And that's also when I tell you in the masterclass, you only need up to 7 roles. And I think, some folks want to hold on to everything. And I teach you like, to really stick to the relevance of the work. And if your relevance comes from, say, a job 15 years ago, you can still include that in your resume. But hopefully that's not the only place where you have some experience in project management and working with medical professionals, and right. So there's a reason why in the summary portion of your resume, Cynthia, you have to address like 5 to 8 factors or 5 to 8 lines, right? Where it's your skill set, your focus area, the populations you've served, the people you've worked next to, the partners that you've worked with or implemented work next to, the software that the languages that you speak. Like there's a variety, the breadth, scope, and reach, right? Is it national? Is it local? Is it community-based? Is it nationwide? Like, where's your experience from? So that all of that accumulates to your candidacy. And if this is all still sounding very new to you, that's okay, because that's why the masterclass is there for you to kind of come back to it. But I'm letting you know, I think it is still just how you're reading the jobs, and then how you're mapping it is not really clicking for you yet. That might be it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, there's hope. There's hope, guys. All right, I see we're coming up to time. You're welcome. Yes, I know we're coming up to time. Thank you for coming. I could just do a plug for things to look forward to. So obviously I have my calendar up. I sent that to all of you guys. If you've already used your mentor session and you want to meet with me again, you have an opportunity for the next month or so to meet with me. And then the other thing I will be promoting is I will be at the NACHO conference. So real quick, is anyone on here in Southern California? I know, Angelica, you are, and you're coming to NACHO, Angelica. You don't have a choice, Angelica, you're coming. Kimberly, are you local? Where are you located?
Yeah, I'm in LA County.
Oh, nice. Okay. Who else? Odellis, are you in LA County too?
I'm in the OC County.
Oh, you're in Orange County. Oh, so question to you. If I did like a get together, or like a happy hour situation, would you be inclined to come and hang out?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. So I'm just trying to get a vibe if people want to meet up, because I want to find like during the conference, it's the week of the 14th, 15th, 16th, and I want to go look for a spot for us to meet up in the evening and just have a nice meetup. Like there's no registration, no cost. Like if you want to come. If you don't. Just something for folks who might be coming to the conference. Because I've already had mentees from Florida tell me they're coming, Atlanta tell me they're coming, DC tell me they're coming. So I want to see if anyone from Southern California would want to get up off the couch and meet our hired community. So yeah, keep your ears out for that. I might do that. Oh, and then lastly, I have a question for all of you. Do we want to do job application lab? I can do it next week. Job application lab. Yes, no, yes. Okay. So for those of you who are new here, I try to do job application labs really like that day of office hours, because it does require me to share my screen. You guys have to come prepared with your resume and the job link that you want to apply to. So it does take a little bit of effort on your part and my part to come prepared. So why don't we do that? We'll do next week, job application lab. I'll announce it on social media, but for all of you who are here, if you want actual edits and feedback for your applications and what you're doing wrong or what you could be doing better, all I ask is that you're willing to share your resume and the job announcement, because I'm going to share it on the screen. And if you don't want your personal information shared, obviously just delete that. It's about the context. But come with your questions, and then I'll keep it fluid. So first come, first serve. I think last time I had more rules on categories, but I think first come, first serve might be fine. But this is really for you getting live feedback. Okay, so that'll be next week. It won't be this open-ended conversation. We will work on resumes together to get you guys going. Okay, let's do it. Next week, I'll be here cheering you guys on. All right, have a good week, everyone. DM me if you have questions. Email me if you have questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're doing great, everyone. Keep your head up. Keep your heart open. You can do this.